I started using Excel when I saw my mum using it. So I was hooked straight away. From that point that I want to make a career with this, I just saw Excel as a tool that I just play around with. People are like, oh, how do I get good at this thing? Practice. Going into last year, I was like, I need to improve my public speaking. So I thought, what better way of improving my public speaking by every month hosting an event of 100 people.
Will you have an advice for someone kind of young that starts his career? Like,
yeah, I think it's good to first.
An Excel MVP, a finance system consultant, Excel trainer, Power Platform Pro, event organizer, and 20K followers on LinkedIn. Richard Nero, how you doing, man?
Fantastic. And it's actually 19,600 and something. So not 20,000 yet, but soon to be.
By the time this air, it will be 20K.
If you round up, yeah.
Yeah, right. So obviously you're an Excel expert. Thank you so much for having me at your home here in London. It's beautiful, really nice. Did you enjoy the GES?
I loved it. I learned a bunch, and the best thing for me was connecting with all the different people and it's funny because I knew so many of the people, like the Jordans, we'd had calls, Oz, etc. But to meet them face to face and laugh and joke and talk about all things Excel and data, that was really fun.
Yeah, get the real feeling of people. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about Excel today, but I want to get into, your career and like who you are and stuff like that. So it won't be only like geeky stuff, but we can maybe get into some geeky stuff if we have time.
Yep.
So I want to know, like, you started in the Excel space when you were obviously very young. That's what I heard at the presentation you did at the GS. By the way, if you didn't watch it, it was on the third day. It's available online. I want to know more a little bit, like you were watching over your shoulders, Mom. If you can get into this a little bit.
Yeah, so I started using Excel when I saw my mum using it. So she was a maths teacher and she would often work till late. And one evening I was watching her, and I'd always watch her. Like she would meticulously make XY scatter plots with rulers and pencils. And one day she was actually making charts for her maths lesson. She was a A-level maths teacher in a college in London. And she was making these charts, and I was watching over her shoulder, and I was like, hold on. She just typed a bunch of numbers, like click, 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 tap, tap, tap. And then she made these awesome visuals. This is incredible. And I was hooked straight away. And she paused what she was doing to help me out. And obviously it slowed her down. But she saw something. She saw a little light turn on in my mind, and she jumped onto that. And yeah, hooked ever since. And then I would play in Excel for hours and hours and hours. And the example that I gave on the speak on the GES, I went to bed that night thinking, how can I use this technology? What can I do? Like my first use case. And I decided to make a graph of everyone in the class. Little bit naughty, maybe. On the x-axis, you had looks, personality, IQ, coolness, and it was hilarious. When the boys go, that's hilarious, and then one of the girls saw, she had, I think it was Natalie, personality 6.
Natalie. So Natalie, hi.
Sorry Natalie, if you're watching. You have a great personality. It was me. I messed up. I apologize. But yeah, so from then, I was hooked. Okay,
but like, and my next question was like, what's the turning point in your career? But you, from the start, you knew that you were going that way, and you never hesitated.
I didn't know from that point that I want to make a career with this. I just saw Excel as a tool that I just play around with. Eventually, I decided to be an accountant at one point when I was like late teens. Okay, and then I was like, as I went into work, I was like, hold on, they're all like going into meetings, looking at these crappy tables. I can turn them into graphs. And I was showing like the CFO, and I was like, how old was I? I must have been about 18 or 19. And I was showing all the senior guys how to make graphs and charts. And in terms of turning point in my career, I guess the turning point was when I had a job, and they on the job description, they're like, we need someone who can do VBA.
Okay. And you knew VBA then?
And I knew VBA, okay. But the salary was really low. It was like 25K. I'm surprised that they would even have the audacity to ask for a VBA Pro and pay so little. But in the interview, he was like, I need you to write a macro to multiply this number and color this cell. Something really basic. And I was like, to be honest, I could do that, but I'd have to record the VBA. And he was like, go ahead and record it and do what you need to do. And it was so stressful. Like
So
someone
you did it
watching
in front of him?
Yeah, so what he was watching over
Jeez.
my shoulder, and I was like, okay, here we go. So I'm gonna record this, and then I said, look, he said, talk me through it as you go through it. I was like, yo, recording macros is inefficient because it's gonna do all this clickety click, like active cell and whatever, zoom in and out. So I'm just gonna record it and then strip out all the like non-essential bits of code. Got the job, and then it was my first role where I was bantering with people who were better than me at VBA. So I remember coming in on a Monday once, and he was like, "Oh, I've created this, like IntelliSense, like autofill. So like you're searching for the name Robert, you type in ROB, and then it autofills Robert. And so that's basic tech now, but back then that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he built that over the weekend, like using VBA. I was like, oh wow! And so yeah, it was a chance for me to flex.
And when you say back then, like you're what, 22?
This I was 20. I would think I would have been about 25.
Okay.
I think 25, 26. Yeah.
Okay. And then so you started learning from the best, let's say it like that. So you were like a rookie VBA back then, but then you are with people are so good with it, and that's where it really things got going. And when did you make the jump? So from accounting to like right now you're a consultant, right? Like if you can tell us a little bit more like a typical day in Richard's world, what is it? How did you transfer from accounting to consulting?
How do I transfer from accounting to consulting? My first consulting gig or contracting gig was working on a big IPO for Royal Mail.
Okay.
And so I got a call about this role, and I remember interviewing for it, and they were like, create one chart that demonstrates efficiency.
Yep.
And they gave you like how many parcels that had been delivered, how many hours it took, how much at the price. And so I took a composite metric, like how much does it cost per parcel and how much does each employee cost. And they said one chart, right? But I created two different charts, and then had some VBA so you could flick in between the two charts.
Oh, cool.
And he was like, wow, this is great. So I got the job. And then
Nice.
going into that role was amazing for me, because before I was working in like SMEs, this company, billions of revenue, 160,000 employees. I remember working on one project and I was like, look, boss, I think I'm 100 million off. And he was like, round up to the nearest billion. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I was like,
obviously.
this is crazy. And so that was my first step into the contracting world. And I realized that it really worked well for me, because I'd get parachuted into like a war zone, numbers going crazy, problems. And it was my job to kind of make sense of it and just kind of cut through the politics, because as a permanent employee, you kind of don't want to upset anyone. But as a consultant coming in, they don't want to be insulted as such, but they want an outside perspective. So you can just say, it's like, this isn't great. Who built this? We need to do it a different way. And there's always that moment when I join a new firm and I'm like, I have no idea how to use this system. I have got no idea of any of the processes. And I'll align myself very closely to that subject matter expert. And there will come a moment, normally 2 or 3 months in, when the guy that was teaching, or girl that was teaching me, they're like, Richard, how did you do that? And I'm like, that's the moment when the Padawan becomes the Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's the moment when I realize, okay, I can banter with these people. And then I'm often giving training courses to people that have been using the system for years. And I've only been there for 2 or 3 months. But I like to align myself with that subject matter expert. And once I've got that knowledge, I want to share it.
And that's because you probably want it like to go the extra mile. Like you want to show the people that hired you, like, I'm good. And when you're at the corporate job for like 2 or 3 years, you're kind of taken for granted, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't really need to show myself anymore. But I have a question for you, actually. Like, I've been in the corporate world for like 10 years. I did like 3 major jobs, let's say, like that. But I remember every time I was switching jobs, it was really exhausting to like learn the new systems and everything.
Yeah.
How do you feel like when you're a consultant, get in there? Is it I always remember like first 3 months of a new job, it's exhausting, man. How was it?
It is, but they're all kind of similar, right? And it's just about when I go into a finance role, it's like, where do I get the AR, AP, GL? Okay, once you get your head around that, and then it's about the purchase order system, so like purchase orders, purchase recs, and then on the flip side, on the sales system, how do they raise sales orders? Once you get your head around that kind of stuff, and hopefully they've got some good reports that come out of the system. If not, I'm a big fan of loading stuff into SQL, and then once it's in SQL, I can do whatever I want with it. Like if once it's in SQL, I can feed it into Power Query, into Excel, and just automate reports very quickly. Because I've had examples where like, oh, I've got to run this report once per GL and once per company, so I'm running it like 36 times. Yeah, it's like, why are you doing that? Put it into SQL, give me the requirements, and you can run it once, and you can refresh it like click, click.
Yeah.
Boom.
And I have a question for you. Like, if I understand well, you're more into enterprise, like big businesses.
Generally, it's more because they're the ones that need someone of my skill set. So smaller businesses generally don't need Power Automate, Power Apps, SQL, Power BI, all that kind of like. The thing is, we're dealing with data, right? And if these big organizations that have billions of revenue, they've got so much data, they can't make sense of it all. And that's where I can come in and help.
Okay.
Really.
And bouncing on that, like, will you have an advice for someone kind of young that starts his career? Like myself, I've always been like in small businesses, except Ubisoft and stuff. So I developed different skill sets. But someone that wants to jump into like the corporate world, will you advise to like specialize into like Power Query or like something really specific into the Excel world, or depending on like which company he wants to work for?
Yeah, I think it's good to first specialize and then diversify. So like find a tool that you enjoy, find a tool that you're good at, and then just go all in. Like if you're good at Excel, keep going with Excel. If you're good at Power BI, stick with Power BI. Offer it SQL, choose one, and just get very, 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 very good at that one thing. And then once you're very good at that one thing, you can spread out. So like if you're very good at SQL, great. But then SQL then feeds into Power BI or whatever tool you're using, ClickSense. Learn that tool. So now that you're handling more of the process, you're more end to end. And so you might understand how DAX works and Power BI, and then you might want to study the visuals. So now that you can do the whole thing from taking it out of SQL and then preparing nice interactive visuals. So specialize, and people are like, oh, how do I get good at this thing? Practice. Like there's on Kaggle, you know Kaggle, so many different data sets on there, so many different data sets.
And there's so many stuff online too
there's
now.
So much
like,
stuff online.
You just need to find the right people to
you just need to find the right people, the right YouTubers to follow. Like the way I learned, Mike Gervin and Chandu, they were the two main ones that I was really learning from. And I had a job at the time that wasn't too, this is way back, this is like in my early 20s, I had a job that wasn't too taxing. And when I'd finished my work, I'd just be on Chandu.
On your work time,
I'll be watching Mike Gervin stuff and just trying to learn and practice and just soaking up as much knowledge as I could. And there was also, around that sort of time as well, I was going to Mr. Excel and I'd ask questions. But then I realized I would learn more by helping other people. And so I'd answer a question in VBA. This is how I do it, 20 lines of code. And then someone else would go, oh, Richard, have you ever tried this? It's actually 5 lines of code and you utilize this. Okay. And so it's a really fun learning collaborative time. But I haven't been on Mr. Excel for a while. So
is that Excel is fun guy? No, it's not the same guy. Huh?
No,
it's
so
Bill
Excel is
Jelen,
fun.
Right?
Yeah, Bill Jelen.
Yeah, I saw he did a video with the Sheetcast recently. So we're in the AI world. I don't want to get too much into AI, but my question was like, are there trends or changes in the world? And so I taught AI, but any other trends that you see, or if you want to jump on AI? You showed me yesterday ChatGPT audio. I was kind of flabbergasted by that. So I was like, if you can talk trends or AI.
Trends, yeah. So obviously AI is a big trend right now. It's a bit of a buzzword. Everything's AI. Apparently, like the amount of companies that got AI in the name after ChatGPT, it's like exponential.
Yeah.
Like everyone's something .ai, and the small island, I think it's Anguilla. You have to have an Anguilla domain name to have .ai, and Anguilla's GDP has gone just through people registering domain names. Anyway, I digress. So AI is a bit of a trend in the data world. Obviously, we have ChatGPT now. We have Bard, where before I might have to write a whole long VBA code to do something, and I could probably write it myself. It'll probably take me a couple hours, and I might have to Google a few things. Might have to go on Stack Overflow, but now I can just get ChatGPT to do it. And 9 times out of 10, it does a pretty good job. It's all commented nicely, and I might have to tweak it. But I always say to people, if you're going to use ChatGPT for code, that's fine. But you still need to learn how to code.
Get the basics, right?
You still need to learn how to code because it hallucinates. There was an example. I was writing a bit of code to automate Power BI refreshes in a PowerPoint deck. So someone had loads of files in a PowerPoint deck. Shapes. There were Power BI embedded shapes. They wanted to loop through every single sheet, loop through every single shape, and refresh the Power BI. So, a bit complicated. Asked ChatGPT, and it gave me some code. And the way I prompted it, I was like, "You are an industry leader in Power BI code and VBA, and you've written books on the subject. You've talked at events." And so I hyped it up, and it started to get cocky. So when it gave me this code, and it gave me like some methods that I didn't recognize, like those parameters that I'm pretty sure didn't exist. And I was like, ChatGPT, are you sure this is right? He was like, I'm sure, I just tested it. It works fine. It's like,
what?
It's like, how could you have tested it? And so I copy pasted that code into Bard. Can you troubleshoot this code? There's some fictitious methods in here, so obviously hidden. But while it had produced some hallucinations, it had done 90% of the work.
Yeah.
And then that last little bit, I had to speak to someone, and they helped me out. But it instead of it taking 4 hours, it took 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's
and
crazy.
obviously we got Copilot in Excel. We've got analyzed data in Excel. We've got all these extra things. But I find the people like us who are like live and breathe Excel and live and breathe data, like analyze data, I don't really need that. I can just, my phone's ringing. I can just do it myself. But I think with Copilot in 365, I think that's could be. I haven't used it much at all. Actually, it's the truth. But that could be a game changer, right? Because instead of having to leave your Word document or Outlook to go into ChatGPT and type stuff in, it would hopefully be a seamless experience. I know there's some bugs, and I've spoken to a few people that have used Copilot, like the 365 version. They're not completely happy with it, but I say give it a chance. This is like iteration 1.
Yeah.
Like very few technologies come out and be completely work. It's not a mature tech, right? I'm super excited to watch how it unfolds. As an MVP, I've just found out the other day I get a free E5 license.
Yeah.
So I am going to be installing that when I've got a spare few hours and get into grips with Copilot. Watch this space. I'm excited.
Yeah, but give it some time. But AI isn't perfect. I saw yesterday, I follow a page on Instagram. It's called ChatGPT Tricks. Okay. It's really nice. You should follow it. But like, it was someone trying to... It was drawing an image with DALL-E, and it was like, get me a nerd without glasses. And ChatGPT could not draw a nerd without glasses. Hey, can you remove those glasses? And then it's like 8 pictures, and it's always... And ChatGPT says, this guy doesn't have glasses on, and it's a nerd that has glasses. So ChatGPT, a nerd, he puts glasses on it. So it's biased, right? So I found it really funny. I was like, holy shoot, that's actually cool. Anyways, so yeah, that's the AI thread. So you are someone... Actually, I don't know you a lot, but like you're someone really warm, really nice. It's always nice to talk to you, and you're also like, I don't know, I'll say that in English, like implicated in like every causes, like lots of causes, lot of not charity. Yeah, I don't know how to say that, but like you hosted last Monday. I was there a Rebel meeting, so a meeting with freelancers, consultants. If you could talk to me a little bit about what's these meetings and how you got to do this, like how did you get into this?
So the Rebel meetups, shout out to Ash Phillips. He's the guy that runs it. He's the founder. So Ash Phillips, he launched Rebel meetups 10 years ago. COVID happened. He's trying to bring it back. He's based in Bristol, keen for there to be a London presence. There was a London presence. And so I was on a group chat of Quantic MBA grads, and then Leonard Berger. Shout out to Leo Berger. He's a great
Leo
guy.
Berger.
Leo Berger, big guy in the fintech space. Nice. He used to organize the Rebel meetups in Amsterdam. And so he put on the chat, hey, does anyone want to host the London Rebel meetups? It's a startup entrepreneurship community. And I was like, yeah, I'll help. but I don't want to host it. I'm not very good at public speaking.
Dude,
not
you're so good. Stop it.
Yeah, thank you. You're too kind. I don't want to host it because I'm too busy, but I'll support. I'll help find speakers. I'll help find venues. There were 5 guys in the group chat. Me, Ash, Leo, and some other people. And there's other guy who was supposed to lead it. And he wasn't replying to emails. And then everybody else disappeared. And then it was just like me and Ash. And I'm like, oh, looks like I'm going to have to step up here. And you know what? Going into last year, I was like, I need to improve my public speaking. So I thought, what better way of improving my public speaking by every month hosting an event of 100 people? It's going to force me to feel uncomfortable, but it's going to force me to grow. And so it's a really fun event. So Ash is keen for it to be 100% free. I was like, let's charge £10, £20. I could push that over to Africa and help build like a maker lab. So I've got a guy, shout out to Jerry, who's doing a lot of stuff with Africa by Africa. But he was like, no, I want it to be free because I don't want it to be any barriers to entry. Yeah. I don't want somebody who can't afford that £10 to come into this space. And the thing, it is a great space. I don't know how we've cultivated such a community, because it is just me on the meetup.com. Hey, come to this thing. It's free. It's entrepreneurship. It's freelancers. And it's a safe space for freelancers to come and just talk about their problems, network, because being a founder, being an entrepreneur, it's a lonely journey, right? And
yeah, it is.
Our partners and our friends might not get it if they're not in that same circle. So it's a nice space to hear about other people's experiences. And there's a different array of entrepreneurs, because you got like the entrepreneur, the guy in that corporate job. I've spoken to loads of these people that they're on the fringe, and they want to be involved in it, and they feel really inspired by all these other people that are maybe 4 or 5 years ahead, and kind of they've been through the journey, they've made the mistakes, and they can share that. And people are willing to share that. People are just happy to help. So I've had a few speakers. Tiwa Lola, she's a Confidence in Killing It podcast host. She was amazing. Nice. She had so much energy, and it's easy to do these events when the person I'm talking to makes it fun for me. Like, she was smiling the whole time. She was dropping knowledge bombs. She was very modest and humble at the same time. We had Devon Spence. She was great. Giorgio, he's designing this venture builder in Abu Dhabi. Lots of interesting people, and it's a great opportunity for me to go on LinkedIn and look for interesting people. Go on Instagram, look for interesting people, and then see if they'll come and talk. And I was speaking to Tiwa Lola, or actually this is something she said on a podcast, is that speaking at events excites her. Speaking at events inspires her. Speaking at events will light up her day, her week even. Like when she gets home, she's just like buzzing.
And I'm pretty sure it does the same effect on the people that were there. Like myself, I'm really the target of these events. Just started my freelancing career, whatever it's called, YouTuber, and like hearing people talk like that, it just inspires me, and it gives me the thought, oh, I need to do some kind of event like that back in Canada. So props to you for doing that, man. It's really cool, and I really enjoyed it personally. So
and I'm glad you're looking to do your own thing, and
that will be nice. So we'll see.
Yeah, what are you gonna call it?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not too sure yet. I'm very busy. I have a lot on my plate, but I will love it. It will be nice because there's nothing like that in Canada. So yeah, but I see you're really implicated in something else. I'm not sure what it is, but like the mentoring lab.
Oh yeah, the mentoring lab. So I approached the mentoring lab when I was feeling a bit meh in my life. I got beautiful children. I've got a beautiful partner. I own my own property. Had a successful consultancy, but I wasn't really feeling fulfilled. There was something missing, and I was reading the book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Strongly recommend that book. And he talks about beginning with the end in mind, and the way he brings that to life is you go into a funeral, you pull up the casket, you see who's sitting there, it's you. Dave, you're dead.
Damn, that's rough.
you had a good life, so it's okay. But so Dave, you go to your funeral, who's there? Who turns up? People from the community, your partner, your family, people from work, people like other YouTubers, other people from LinkedIn. Who comes and what do you want them to say? And one of the things, I wanted people from the community to be there, and I want people from the community to say, Richard had done so much for the community, but then I was like, hold on, I finish work and then I'm just watching Netflix, and then I might play a bit of sport or go to the gym. I'm not doing anything in the community. So if that's the funeral I want, then I need to be more active. Yep. And so I applied to various mentoring programs, but there was this one mentoring program. When I initially spoke to the lady, her name is Elaine Thomas, she blew me away. Like, her smile straight away was captivating, her eyes. Like, when you speak to her, she genuinely cares about the young people she's supporting, and she does so much for the community. She doesn't just connect with the young people, she connects with their families. So when we do like sporting activities as well as the mentoring, and for the sporting activities we'll go onto the estates. These are the toughest estates in London. These estates have the biggest gang activity of anywhere in London. This is like Top Boy. I don't know if you've seen the Top Boy, but it's like Top Boy in real life. And so we'll work with the young people, we'll play sports, we'll talk them about visualization, positive mental attitude, resilience, as well as sports. And the families, because it's on the estate, the families can see their child playing around and learning. So sometimes they'll come down and they'll talk to us. And so then you start to, rather than you just youth work, you start to build a community. Yeah. And so through that, I've been involved in a few events where they were like, we're going to have a game show. Come along. I was like, okay, cool. I was the contestant. I didn't realize this, but I was the contestant. We had like a jollof cooking round. We had a spelling round. And then they were like, we're now going to talk to the contestants about the toughest times in their lives. And I was like, oh God, you didn't prep me for this. But it's great. It's really rewarding. Yeah. And so now I was a youth worker, mentor, and now they asked me to be a director. So now I'm a director of that charity, and my role is like partnerships and events. So I'm trying to raise events to raise awareness and raise funds for the charity.
Yeah. And you said something about the toughest moment in your life. I don't want to go there, but I want to know, like, sometimes, because I saw like your life rhythm. I know I'll say that, like, in Canada it's much more slower, small city and stuff. You go pick up the kids, takes you like 2 hours. You're trying to send voice message at the same time. It's a really busy life, right? And I think you're someone that loves to stay busy. But my question is, like, sometimes, like, do you take some time off? Do you feel exhausted? Like, how and I don't want like the toughest moment in your life, but like we talked about like bright stuff and fun stuff, but like, what is sometimes like you sit in bed and you're like, okay, maybe that was too much this week?
I try to meditate. I try to do it every day. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And it'll just be at the end of the day, I take 10 minutes. Calm app, best investment I've ever made. It's $28.99 a year, and it's life changing. Nice. There's a guy, I want to say Jeff Warren. I do his guided meditations, and it's literally brought my resting, like I don't know if it's resting heart rate, but my resting, like, chill vibes down a bit. Like, even I was speaking to my kids a few months ago, and I was like, since I've been meditating, have you noticed a difference in my temperament? And like, yeah, like, you haven't shouted at us in ages. Yeah. And I don't just shout at my kids for no reason, right? But sometimes when they're fighting and it's like, shut up!
Yeah. I mean,
and then they'll shut up.
On your
but
nerves.
now I'll just like, guys, please. And I'm able to control my emotions that bit more, because I'm busy, right? I'm always doing stuff like organizing events and busy with clients, and when we wake up, gotta wake up, gotta get the protein shake, gotta get to the gym, gotta get back, gotta turn my laptop on, gotta log in, gotta do that. And we've got this constant mind chatter of gotta do this, and thinking about what happened yesterday, and I gotta do this now, but what about tomorrow, and picking up the kid. Our brain is this constant mind chatter. When we meditate, it allows the subconscious to come to the fore, and it just relaxes the mind. Just think of nothing but your breath, and it's just, I can't really explain it, but it is life changing if you can stick with it for a consistent amount of time.
Yeah, that's great advice. I need to get to meditating. I'm into running. That's my meditation.
That is meditation, though, right?
So you have obviously a lot of contacts, and I'm not talking about your 20K on LinkedIn or almost 20K, but like, if some young entrepreneurs, young professional are listening to us, what will be an advice? Like, why is it important or that important to have many contacts?
Why is it important to have contact?
Yeah.
It's about having your network, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people often try and grow their network when they need it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need legal advice. Better mingle with some lawyers. No, because they're gonna smell you coming if you just arrive out of nowhere. Hi, you don't know me, but I need some legal advice. You just need to have a strong network so that when you do need help, you can call on it. And I would strongly recommend when you're networking, offer help first. Always offer help first, and then when you've given them help or when you've shown them that you're genuine and you just want to help people, if you do need help, they'll be keen to help you. And I was never really that big into networking, but I was very big into meeting people. Like when I'd go on a night out and my friends are trying to chat up girls and stuff, I'll be chatting to everyone.
Yeah.
The bar staff, I'll be chatting to the security, I'll be chatting to the homeless guy outside. Many times I've ended up having big conversations with homeless people. And my friend's like, Richard, why are you talking to that guy? He's homeless. Yeah, he's a human being. And I'm a big fan of believing that everybody on this earth has something to teach you.
Yeah.
And everybody knows something that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Even just hearing about their life is something that you don't know. Yeah. And we've got lessons to learn from everyone. So just try and be open-minded. And things don't happen by accident. I've done this a bit more recently, but go to these networking events. And when you go to these networking events, you can just walk up to a group of people and just say, hi, what are you guys talking about? My name's Richard. What's the topic of conversation? And people expect it. It's not like if you went into the supermarket and there was two people shopping. Hi guys, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That might be a little bit weird. But when you're a networking event, the kind of people there are open-minded. They want to mingle. They want to meet new people. So just get yourself out there and network.
And you're gonna get along with some people, and some other maybe not, or maybe less.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, I met a girl at a race I did in Quebec, and we said hi to each other, and that's about it. Like we followed each other on Instagram, and that's it. But like she ended out saying, "Hey, they're looking for an Excel trainer at this school," and I said, "Oh, thank you so much." I applied, and it ended up being my first gig in Excel.
Nice.
So like completely random. We just kept in touch. Like we never saw each other after the race, but. That's it. That it can lead to like really nice moments sometimes. This one was like kind of accident. You said it doesn't happen by accident. Well. This one kind of. Anyways, I have one last question for you.
Go for it, Dave.
At the David Fortin CPA podcast. I don't know, is this a thing? Not too sure. But your favorite Excel function or feature? Go ahead.
I guess my favorite Excel feature is Power Query, but specifically, it's the fact that I can write SQL scripts in Excel. It's wild. It's wild because you have huge treasure troves of data, huge in these big enterprises. And often the business will be like, oh, IT, can you run me this report? And then it will take ages. And then they'll build the report. And then you ask them to run it. And they email you a CSV. This is one transactional table, one fact table, and you ask them for the master data and then some more master data, and it just like to refresh that is a nightmare. But now we can write SQL scripts, pull the data out, we can use Power Pivot, do some joins like with a nice little star schema, and we got a nice model. And users can just, with Power Query, users can like put in the date, I don't know, put in a list of GLs, and they can be effectively pushing parameters from the UI, from the worksheet, straight into the SQL database. So it allows business users to manipulate SQL databases, and they're just thinking they're typing numbers into cells. But actually, it's going into a table that gets fed into Power Query, that gets fed into a single variable, that gets fed as a parameter in your SQL script that gets compiled. And if it's good enough, you can do some nice query folding and pull it out really quick.
That's it. That's power-packed information. Richard,
there you go.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers, man.